Imagine turning off the lights at night. Your room becomes quiet. There is only a thin strip of light from the window. And then, in the corner, a jacket hanging on a chair suddenly looks like a person standing there. You know it is a jacket, but your heart reacts first. Your muscles tighten first. And for 1 second, your brain whispers, "Do not be so sure." So why does this happen? Why can an ordinary shadow become a face, a body, or something that feels like it is watching you? The answer does not begin with ghosts. It begins with your brain. Your brain was not built to see the world perfectly. It was built to keep you alive. In daylight, your eyes collect a huge amount of information: color, edges, distance, texture, tiny details. Your brain can usually tell the difference between a coat, a curtain, a chair, and a real person. But at night, those details disappear layer by layer. Color fades first, sharp edges soften, distance becomes harder to judge. What remains is a dark shape, a small sound, and a lot of uncertainty. This is when your brain stops acting like a camera. It acts more like a prediction machine. It takes incomplete information and tries to fill in the missing pieces as fast as possible. If there is a tall shadow in the corner, your brain does not wait politely for you to turn on the light. It asks a faster question. Is that a person? Is that dangerous? Did it move? This is not a flaw in your brain. It is a survival feature. For ancient humans, some mistakes were cheap. If you saw a bush and thought it was a predator, you might panic and waste some energy. But if you saw a predator and thought it was only a bush, you might not get a second chance. So the human brain became biased toward caution. It is often safer to see danger where there is none than to ignore danger when it is real. Psychologists sometimes call this threat bias. In simple words, your brain is not only asking what is most likely true, it is asking what would be most dangerous if I am wrong. And in the dark, that question becomes much louder. There is another reason shadows can turn into ghosts in your mind. It is called pareidolia. Pareidolia is the brain's habit of seeing familiar patterns in unclear shapes. You may have seen a face in an electrical outlet, an animal in a cloud, eyes in the grain of wood, or a human figure in the shadow of a curtain. Your brain is extremely good at detecting faces. Sometimes it is too good.
It would rather see a false face than miss a real one. That matters because faces can mean attention, emotion, threat, help, or danger. Your brain reads them fast. You do not slowly calculate 2 dots and a line. You just see a face. That is why a few random shapes in a dark room can suddenly feel alive. 2 buttons become eyes. A fold becomes a mouth. A long shadow becomes a body. And once your brain sees something face-like, your body may react before your logic catches up. Your heart beats faster. Your breathing changes. Your skin feels colder. You may know the shape is harmless, but your nervous system has already pressed the alarm button. One part of the brain involved in threat and emotion is the amygdala. When something is unclear, especially in the dark, it can push the body into alert mode very quickly. That is why you can jump first and think later. You are not being foolish. An older part of your brain is moving faster than the calm voice that says, relax. Now think about a shadow on the wall. At first, it is only a shadow. Then the curtain moves slightly. The shape changes. Your brain detects motion, and motion in the dark is something the brain does not like. Human eyes have cells called rods that help us see in low light. They are useful, but they do not give you a clear daytime image. They are better at detecting light and movement than detail. So in the dark, you may notice that something moved, but you may not know what moved. That gap is where imagination enters. Sound can do the same thing. If a piece of wood cracks at 2 in the morning, your brain may not begin with a calm explanation about temperature and building materials. Its first translation might be, is someone there? A tiny sound becomes a trigger. Then the dark shapes around you begin to change meaning. The coat is no longer just a coat. It is the coat near the sound. The shadow is no longer just a shadow. It is the shadow your fear is now watching. The brain is a storyteller. It takes a sound, a shape, and a feeling, then connects them into an event. That ability helps humans understand the world quickly, but at night, the same ability can make the world feel more dangerous than it is. And the more tired or stressed you are, the stronger this effect can become. When your brain is exhausted, the calm, reasoning parts do not control the alarm system as well. Unclear images become easier to interpret as threats. You may have had a night when everything felt scarier than usual.
Same room, same bed,
same corner, but not the same brain. You were more tired, so the alarm system was more sensitive. This is also why strange shadow experiences can happen near sleep. When you are falling asleep or waking up, your brain is between two states, not fully asleep, not fully awake. Dream images, memories, sounds from the room, and real shadows can overlap. Some people see a figure near the bed. Some people feel like something is close to them. That experience can be terrifying, but in many cases, it comes from perception and sleep systems overlapping. It does not mean the figure is actually there. The frightening truth is this: your brain does not need a real ghost to create the feeling of one. It needs darkness, incomplete information, a small sound, stress or fatigue, and a survival system that has been trained by thousands of generations to take the night seriously. Before electric lights, before locked apartments, before phones beside the bed, night was not just bedtime. Night was when human vision became weaker. Night was when some animals had the advantage. Night was when a small mistake could matter. So your brain inherited a rule: when you are not sure, assume there might be something there. Some researchers describe a related idea as hyperactive agency detection. In plain language, the brain likes to look for an actor behind events. If a branch moves, maybe something moved it. If there is a sound in the dark, maybe someone is there. If a shadow looks like a person, maybe it is a person. This rule can protect you in the wilderness, but in a modern bedroom, it can turn a coat into a visitor at 3 in the morning. And here is the stranger part. Sometimes you do not see first and then feel afraid. Sometimes you feel afraid first and then you see through that fear. When your brain is already on alert, it selects information that matches the alert. Normal shadows look more shaped. Normal sounds feel more meaningful. A dark hallway feels deeper than it really is. The world has not changed as much as your interpretation has changed. That is why I saw it with my own eyes is more complicated than it sounds. Your eyes are only the doorway. Your brain builds the final picture. What you see is a mixture of real light, memory, expectation, and fear. In daylight, that mixture usually feels stable. At night, when real information drops, fear and imagination get more space. That is why a small shadow can grow inside your mind.
That is why a corner of the room can feel too deep. And that is why you may not want to turn your back to the door, even when you know you are safe. The good news is that understanding the system can weaken the fear. If you see a strange shadow tonight, ask slowly, what information do I actually have? Where is the light coming from? What object was there in the daytime? Am I tired? Am I stressed? Is my brain filling in missing details? Turning on a light can fix the image, but understanding your brain can fix the feeling more deeply, because the scariest thing in the dark may not be the shadow. It may be the brain's power to make the shadow feel alive. And in another way, that power is incredible. It is the same power that helps humans read faces, predict danger, create stories, invent myths, and survive in a world that never gives complete information. Humans do not fear darkness only because we cannot see enough. We fear darkness because the brain can see too much when it has too little to work with. One night, you may turn off the lights again. The room will be quiet. The jacket will still be in the same corner. The shadow will still be long. But this time, if your heart starts beating faster, you may not need to ask what is standing there. You may ask a better question. What is my brain trying to protect me from? And maybe the shadow that feels most like a ghost is actually proof that your brain is still doing its ancient job.